Hey, so why are we all so horny for 18th and 19th century men and monsters? Okay, hear me out. 18th and 19th century monsters are hot as fuck, and you can't convince a lot of people otherwise. Hey, this is a safe space. Let's talk about why exactly films like Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein, Robert Eggers' Nosferatu, and soon-to-be Emerald Fennell's Wuthering Heights are just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to all the period romance media that's taken over in recent years. We're going to dive into the aforementioned titles, along with Hamnet, which was just released, and which I profusely wept over, Bridgerton, and I'm going to sneak in some remarks about Sinners, which isn't too far back in time, I feel I need to clarify, but it kind of counts still. The movies that made us feel things. Let's start with the film that was released first in 2024, Nosferatu.
Come to me. Standing before me was death, but I'd never been so happy.
He is coming.
There is a devil in this world, and I have met him.
But you could never please me as he could. I'm ready.
If you're not familiar with the OG story, let me quickly summarize. The film Nosferatu takes place in the 1830s. Thomas Hutter, a real estate agent, travels from his German town to Transylvania to meet Count Orlok, a mysterious client wanting to buy a house across from Hutter's own home. At the castle, Orlok shows unnatural interest in Hutter, especially his blood, and Hutter discovers the Count is a vampire after finding punctures on his neck and reading a vampire book. Remember, kids, reading is fundamental. Later, Orlok moves to his town, bringing a plague and swarms of rats, devastating the town. And then Ellen, Hutter's wife, realizing Orlok's true nature, uses her knowledge from a book on vampires to understand that sunlight kills them. So she lures Orlok to her bedside and holds his gaze until dawn, destroying him as the sun rises. And then Ellen does not survive either. Now, bear in mind, while the aura surrounding vampires is inherently sexual, due to how they feed and satisfy their cravings by diving into people's necks, and while, yes, the original Nosferatu, which was released in 1922, was deeply rooted in psychosexual horror, with the Count's predatory pursuit of Ellen symbolizing anxieties about female desire, corruption, and violation, the explicit depiction of sex is subtle compared to the modern remakes like Eggers. In short, the original version was not as horny as a film as the 2024 version was. So, why the added spice with Eggers' retelling? I mean, all of Lily Rose Depp's orgasms were on full display for this one, and the yearning she did for sex was portrayed in a very visceral way. Promise to answer that question later. First, I'm going to continue on presenting the evidence. Let's move to Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein.
My maker told his tale. And I will tell you mine. And I saw it. Your name. Victor Frankenstein. If you are not to award me love, then I will indulge in rage.
Now, aside from the cast being conventionally hot, the story does highlight Frankenstein's monster's love interest. So, the romance, or what semblance of a romance that can be found in a relationship like the one they have, had a large presence in the movie. I saw someone said it gives the same almost ick as the romance plots in Poor Things. And you have to admit too, they made the monster hot in this one. I mean, look at all the previous monsters in comparison. And if you're not listening to this on Substack, you're going to have to head over to the article to look at the pictures altogether. And get this, the monster does less horror things in the movie than he does in the book. This brings more grace and a softness to the monster that wasn't there originally. Why? The last movie I'll touch on in this section is one that hasn't come out yet, Wuthering Heights.
What should you do, Heathcliff? If you were rich?
Suppose I'd do what all rich men do. Live in a big house. And be cruel to my servants. Take a wife.
A wife? What wife?
Heathcliff. You're not enough. Not for her.
Mr. Linton asked me to marry him.
Heathcliff is gone. You must accept it.
Why did you leave me?
Why did you betray your own heart? So kiss me. And let us both be damned.
Wait a minute. Is that Jacob Elordi again? It sure is. And he's joined by Margot Robbie, who rounds out the top billings for this film. For those of you, myself included, who aren't intimate with the definition of wuthering, it basically means windy as fuck. But it originated from the late Middle English words wither or wether, which meant rush or to make a rushing sound. Now, pair this with what we know about the story. It takes place on the Yorkshire moors, which is known to have stormy weather. But it's also reflective of the emotional turmoil from the story, and, almost kind of blatantly, the sexual tension of the story. The upcoming Wuthering Heights film, directed by Emerald Fennell, and set for a 2026 release, loosely adapts the novel, which primarily takes place in the late 18th to early 19th centuries, from around 1771 through 1802. But the movie's costumes intentionally blend Regency and Victorian styles, hinting at a more complex, possibly meta take on the classic story, rather than a strict historical period piece. And have you seen the marketing materials for it yet? There's one popular piece that is a multiple stories tall billboard that looks like Margot is taking back shots. I'm not kidding, you can look at it in the article. It's all hypersexualized and sexually tense in a way that is feeding the women what they want. But why is this what women want these days? How do we fall head over heels into this era of pining over the romance archetypes of centuries past? Nostalgia versus anemoia. Nostalgia is a pretty common term, right? Most people could describe it if you asked them to. It's the warm, fuzzy feelings you get when you smell a familiar smell from days past, hear a tune you haven't heard in ages but used to dance all night to, or come across an old stuffed animal you swore you couldn't live without in your youth. All of these things could elicit a nostalgic response. But we're not talking about nostalgia here, because if you're listening to this, and you're not also a vampire, you wouldn't have been alive during the time periods of any of the works I'm talking about in this episode. Therefore, today's topic is anemoia. Anemoia is the nostalgia for a time or a place one has never known. And fun fact, it's not officially in any online dictionary, unless you count the Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows, which I've never heard of until I started researching for this piece, but it sounds badass. I learned about anemoia when I watched Midnight in Paris for the first time. I recommend it if you like Owen Wilson and Rachel McAdams. It was honestly beautiful to see how much Owen's character was enamored for a time that seems so far in the past. It even sparked a similar affection within me for the Roaring Twenties, a la Paris. That's what all the 18th and 19th century romance films and shows are doing to us right now. It's making us fall for a time when romance was not dead, and it certainly wasn't a shell of itself like it is now. Romance in these films and shows is portrayed with such heart, earnest, and seriousness. And that's all a girl wants. That's how all the pieces of the puzzle are coming together for me. In this current age of dating and being in long-term relationships, it seems to be the norm that women put up with what they can get. I mean, did you see the articles floating around that having a boyfriend is embarrassing now? Those articles are all leading to this same thought here. We're missing a crucial element. No, scratch that. We're missing many crucial elements of love and romance that went missing somewhere in the 90s and early 2000s. Essentially, if you've only ever seriously dated in this current era of dating, you can absolutely be feeling anemoia for a time before you, where dating and courting and falling in love felt magical and unreal. And, yeah, that's totally valid. Let's dive in on the whys there. The two main reasons you're feeling anemoia around your romantic life. First, escapism. To put it bluntly and quickly, being alive right now kind of sucks. Like, there's a lot of shit going on. I won't go deeper into the struggles of living in America a third time in a row. If you want to know everything I've bemoaned about in previous articles, you can read them on Substack. I won't get back into it here, that was really depressing. Second, yearning is in, baby. That's really it. Do tell, how many times have you scrolled past a tight shot of the lustful eyes Conrad makes at Belly, unwillingly on the internet? Don't be scared. I won't ask you how many times you've looked it up willingly, but I will include it in the article if you'd like to refresh your memory. That's what the girlies want now. Be chalant. Do some goddamn courting. Buy her the flowers, plan the surprise dates, dance with her in the kitchen, at the restaurant, in the backyard. Tell her how much you love her every time you see her. Make sure she understands your life would be forever changed if she were suddenly whisked away to have her sexual desires fulfilled by an asthmatic vampire. Shows like Bridgerton get it right. And that's why it was such a huge hit and continues to make the social media rounds with those goddamn Jonathan Bailey edits. Or Hamnet. Even though it's such a tragic love story, it still gets your romantic yearnings all hot and bothered with how their courting begins. In the world's quickest sidebar here, because I know it'll still be in theaters when this episode is released, I highly advise you go see Hamnet in theaters.
Is it true? You know everything about a person by touching them here?
Not everything.
He's got more inside of him than any man I've ever met.
Who are you looking for?
William Shakespeare.
I have no talent for waiting.
The women in my family see things.
What do you see?
I see landscape, oceans,
You're having twins, my girl.
undiscovered countries. What do you wish to do, Hamlet?
I shall be one of Father's players.
Will you be brave?
Yes.
Will you be brave?
Please! When shall we three meet again?
Our children's hearts beat. They smile, play. Never forget for a moment.
Mama!
They may be gone.
Mama!
My boy.
The film, directed by Chloe Zhao and starring Paul Mescal and Jessie Buckley, is set in 1580s England, focusing on Shakespeare's family tragedy as the Black Death impacts their lives, leading to the inspiration for Hamlet. Bring plenty of tissues. Is this not a simple ask? This question goes to any men out there who may be listening to this too. I am genuinely curious and open to talking about it in the comments. I know our world has been forever changed due to the pandemic, the rise of AI, and the decrease of third spaces. But there has to be a way to bring the whimsy back into pursuing, dating, and loving your romantic partner. If not, the hetero-fatalism/loneliness epidemic will continue, and women will continue to solely fantasize about the men they see on the screens, who don tight pants, puffy shirt collars, and speak in stanzas. Closing thoughts. I'd be willing to bet money that the increase in period dramas that heavily portray romance are a direct result of yearning or wanting to be yearned for, being at an all-time high right now. Even if the media falls outside of that 18th and 19th century window, like Ryan Coogler's Sinners, which also came out this year. The sex-filled and sensual moments in that one are never too few and far in between. I mean, come on, they made the Jim Crow era sexy. That's fucking hard to do. But I digress. Actually, I don't digress. I have more to say on making things sexy that are really hard to make sexy. Because why on earth is the Grinch posting thirst traps this year on IG? Stay tuned for more on that next time.